Alright, my screen's pretty dark, so I'm going to have no idea. I am not going to be able to even see how many people. My battery is pretty low. So, and I don't have a charger. You know, there was one lady back a while ago. That'd be damned if I could remember her name. Note to self, get better with names. Anyway, there was a lady who got me a battery charger because if you remember in the winter, my battery kept on sinking, like going from 100 to 0. And so she bought me a battery charger. And it's in my bag, but I can't find the wire. Who knows? But anyway, I'm only at like 58%. So I charged up a little bit and gonna go into a couple of topics here with you. Will not be going the usual hour. Probably just not only my battery, but I'm just gonna wind up going around the block and coming back the short route, if you will. So anyway, here's 3 topics we're going to be talking about: CNN, healthcare, and then a little of yours truly with regard to that. So let's get into the CNN thing first. The thing about CNN, you know, I talk about the cable ratings all the time, and I think it's an important thing to monitor. Sometimes people say to me, well, why do you publish that stuff? It's an important thing because there is a balance between what matters more. Is it the ability to have high ratings, or is it the ability to get an ideology out? In fact, somebody recently asked me, I can't remember who it was, what do you think is more important, ratings or ideology? And I said ideology. And they said, really? I think it's ratings. I said, no. If it were ratings, they would not do what they do in terms of what they sell. Now, keep in mind something. I'm going to get back to that in a second. Think about this. There was a video put out today. If you haven't seen it on DennisMichaelLynch.com, you should see it. It's been shared now almost as many times as my grandma video has been shared. I can't believe my grandmother video was shared like 27,000 times. But I think it's been shared like 23,000 times. And in the video, this Project Veritas, I don't know how they got into CNN. They probably gave some false impression of who they were. However they got in, so be it. They'll deal with that one on their own. But they dealt with a CNN producer. And in the video, he basically reveals the fact that, you know, the CEO of CNN, Jeff Zucker, who actually lives out where I am during the summers. And he said, basically, stop covering the climate accord thing, go back to Russia. So they're driving the narrative of Russia, and they say pretty much it's because of ratings. Now, here's why that isn't necessarily true. If CNN really wanted to be in ratings, number one, more than they wanted to get past their liberal ideology, well, they would pick up the phone and they would call up Rush Limbaugh, and they would call up Mark Levin, and they would call up Laura Ingraham, and they would call up every single radio conservative host. They'd call up me, and they'd say, we want you to have a show. They would. They'd say, yep, we don't care what it would be. We're going to throw it out at you. How much does Hannity make? How much does O'Reilly make? We'll give you more plus. Why would they do that? Because the conservative message goes out to more solid thinking people. And so those people tune in. It's why there's no such thing as liberal radio. It's why Fox News, at the end of the day, even if they don't have the #1 show temporarily so, you know, they are always #1 in ratings. And that's because, like it or not, that's where the intelligent people go. So, to that extent, CNN really isn't about ratings. They're about their ideology at the same time as selling their ideology and coupling that with better ratings. For them is having your cake and eating it too. So understand that if they really wanted to go for the ratings, if they really wanted to be #1, they would change what it is that they're selling. Prime example, MSNBC just hired for Saturday mornings Hugh Hewitt, who is a conservative radio host. They are now giving him a show on Saturday mornings. Another person that they hired was Greta Van Susteren. Now, although she's not by any chance or any stretch a conservative, especially not one like Sean Hannity, she still comes from the Fox environment. They are also thinking 100%, we got to start changing a little bit about how we sell this stuff here. There's a lot of money in conservatism. At CNN, they're so liberal, they won't even think that way. They won't even think that way. They won't even put strong pro-Trump people on panels. They've always got, and no disrespect for the people who are on those CNN panels, but they don't really usually hold their own. But they'll put a very weak Trump supporter in a panel of 7 liberals. So trust me when I tell you, it's about selling the ideology. So this whole undercover video, which basically reveals, as far as I'm concerned, what we already knew, you know, this whole thing about CNN and their fake news, if you will, to me, that's nothing new. We sort of knew this. Didn't we already know this? The big thing about it, which I think is interesting, and for those of you who have been with me for a very long time, you may remember me walking down this very block. I think it was either in November or early December. But I was November. That's when the election was. I was punching home to you. Here's something that you need to know about. The Russia narrative is going to be with us forever. Nobody's talking about right now, but trust me when I tell you, it is going to be what dictates everything, because that is what they're going to try to stain Trump with. It's BS. It will turn out to be BS, but trust me when I tell you, this thing is going to hover around. Where I'm wrong in all this, how many times do you ever hear me say that? Where I'm wrong in all this was I thought it would hover around longer. But you know what? Here's the thing. When you chase a lie, you can only go so far with that lie, especially when you try to hit the gas pedal as hard as these people have been trying to hit the gas pedal on this Russia thing. And slowly but surely, what you're seeing is that it is just basically falling apart. And so for the president, I guess you couldn't ask for a better post-Father's Day's gift, because after this whole Russia narrative gets blown up, and after it is now that CNN is going to feel as if it needs to cover its tracks to a certain degree, and they will, you know, somebody on my team today put out an alert about the video and said, CNN is finished. I'm trying to, we'll get to this in a little bit, but I'm trying to delegate some of the other tasks within our organization, so this way I don't have to do everything. I've been told that that's the way it needs to be going forward by the ones who really love me. And so I said, you can't put titles out like CNN is finished. That may be the way you feel, that may be the way you interpret it, but at the end of the day, CNN is not finished. Just put out leaked video, show CNN programming biasly against Trump, or putting out fake news, anything of that. But so I'm trying to train for that. But anyway, if you're the president, I guess what happens is you've got this window. It's a very small window that everything will start to focus simply on what it is that you're able to accomplish from a policy standpoint. They will have to go back and start looking at that because they're going to have to rebuild their credibility. So hopefully the president and his communications team are willing to accept this opportunity and dive deep into it. In fact, if I was Sean Spicer and President Trump, I'd go back to holding press briefings every single day for the next 2 weeks. There was never a better opportunity to get your message out than these 2 weeks. Because trust me when I tell you, the last thing that these liberal outlets are going to do is play any games. But then, like everything else, the American people will forget about what happened here with the CNN stuff. It will go under the rug, and they'll pick right back up, and they'll get the next narrative, and they'll just keep on keeping on. And that's the way it will be. And remember, 2 weeks from now, when you see the next BS thing erupt, you'll say, huh, he called it. And yes, I did. That's the way it works. That's the sadness in it all. And so even though CNN, their ratings, you know, they're talking about how, in the video, they talk about how strong their ratings are. They're still number 3. They're so far behind MSNBC and Fox News. And the reason being is because they just care more about the ideology than they do the ratings. So I don't care what any Project Veritas or anybody else tells you. My formula tells you it's more about the ideology than the ratings. And all you have to do is look at the faces of the people at CNN when they react to anything. The Georgia win last week, or when they react to the president winning the election, anything. You just look at it. That's not about ratings. That's about ideology. And so, trust me when I tell you, it's all about that. It's not about the ratings. It's not about the ratings at all. If it were about the ratings, they'd have conservatives on that network, and they don't. So, now that we have that out of the way, let's go to the next topic, which is the health care bill. I know a lot of you have sent me messages saying that you don't understand what it is. Please, can you get some clarity? Then, of course, you had the travel ban thing. I have been, remember this lady? This house loves DML. Hey, Angela. Hope you're watching. Anyway, so a bunch of you sent me emails asking me to explain. And then you're like, DML, where have you been? I haven't seen you on the Walk and Talk. Okay, we'll get that to that in a second. But for the most part, the healthcare stuff, I have told you from the beginning that the healthcare bill that was in the House was a disaster. Because what it didn't do is it did not disable the fundamentals of Obamacare. It just didn't. What it tried to do is it tried to take this package of Obamacare and build things around it to disguise that in the middle, it's Obamacare. And it's not going to work. You can't do it. When the core of something is there, you can try to disguise all you want. You could put this into human nature if you want. If you're a hateful person inside, you can try to disguise it with a couple of niceties, but ultimately your hate's going to come out. You know? If you are a dishonest person and you try to cover that over, ultimately the dishonesty is going to come out. So in this same case, when they talk about repealing a bill, they're not repealing anything. What they're doing is they're building around it. They're trying to put band-aids on certain spots and build around it. Now, why they're doing that is a totally different subject. But when the House bill... Sorry, somebody tried calling me. I'll tell you, if I could do it over again, I would have never gotten a cell phone. I don't know why people call. I always call. I always get these phone calls. And then you pick up the phone and say, yes, hi, I have a short survey, and I was wondering, do you put your shoes on first, or do you put on your t-shirt first? I don't wear t-shirts. Yeah, I got a voicemail from 1-800-900-1300. There you go. Okay, if you want to call them. So, anyhow, go back to what I said. So after the House did their whole thing, and the Senate took the bill, they said basically, we're not going to pass this thing. And so now the Senate had come up with their whole bill, and now basically Mitch McConnell came out and said, we're not going to be voting on this before July 4th. Okay, I hate to say this, but once again, hold on, let me hit that button I always hit. Doot. For those of you who've been with me for a while, you know that I said that I was given July 1 until the alarm bell went off, because if certain things weren't done by July 1, I was going to start feeling pretty icky about it. And now I'm feeling pretty icky, because what happened today was Mitch McConnell said that they're not going to vote on this healthcare bill. Now, you may have heard other pundits and other people tell you about how this is a good bill, and it's not. It's not. It's the same thing the House did. They're trying to take around the fundamentals of Obamacare and trying to band-aid it and put up different stuff. And at the end of the day, you still got Obamacare at the bottom. It's not a repeal. It's a build-around. And so you've got good senators who are saying, I'm not going to vote for this thing. There's no way I'm going to vote for this thing. I have been fighting against Obamacare for years, and I am not going to vote for this for the sake of giving somebody a win. I'm not going to do that to my constituents. And although I will get a temporary win now, it will ultimately turn out to be a massive loss. Now, the CBO, which is the Congressional Business Office, they have basically confirmed what some of these senators are really concerned about, and some of the senators have jumped onto it. Now, there will be those of you who say, yeah, but the CBO got Obamacare wrong. Yes, they did. So maybe we should give them the benefit of the doubt that they don't want to be wrong again, and they may have looked at this existing bill a little bit stronger, a little bit deeper, and said, we ain't going to get caught with our pants down again. According to the CBO, and it's very hard to argue, especially when you look at the numbers and you look at the way in which they're trying to build off the core, like I said, Obamacare, these blockades. I hope I'm not confusing you, but this is a very heady topic. You're looking at potentially 22 million people being uninsured. And in addition to that, you are looking at an incredible amount of pressure on older people and on low-income people on having to be able to pay for insurance rates and deductibles and co-pays that is just unreasonable. Now, the upside to this, the upside is that the cost for Medicaid would be lower because they're going to be cutting back certain things. Don't you always love, there is never a walk and talk where there's not some kind of mechanical device powered by gasoline and operated by an illegal alien. How do you know they're illegal, DML? It's the same guy who was here 6 months ago and 6 years ago, and he still doesn't speak English. If he did, I'd say hola. Actually, I would have said hello. DML, you losing it? I am a little bit. This week, anyway. So, anyways, go back. So it's not a good bill, folks. And here's how it's not a good bill. It's a better bill put to sleep. It really is. And I continue to say what I've always said. You just got to let Obamacare completely crash into the ocean. And when it does, you have to have something ready to go in place. It's like the pizza maker, you know? The pizza maker makes the next pizza while the oven's filled. And when the one pizza comes out, the other pizza comes in. Nobody has to wait. You know what I mean? It just keeps on as a factory. Now, that's what we got to do. And that's what's going to happen. Come hell or high water, I will be right. Press again. Again. Yep. It will basically be Obamacare will collapse. And then we can insert something in, because at that time, the world known as the United States of America will need a lifeline. Now, you may recall last week we were at this house. The roof was a nightmare. They cleaned it. What do you know? Hola. Dinero. No mucho. Very good. Proud of you. Not. So anyhow, we go back to this whole thing. That's the way it's going to work. You're not going to get anything until Obamacare completely crashes and you get one of those DML alerts that says, Obamacare has officially crashed. And there you go. That's how it will work. So eventually we will get something, but it's not going to be now. The problem with that, and yes, there's always a problem. DML, when is there something good to tell you? It's sunny, finally. The problem with this is that when the healthcare bill continues to get kicked down the road, along with it is tax reform. Yep. And sooner or later, these beautiful leaves will all drop and the snow will start to fall. And when the snow falls, we'll start talking about the 2018 elections and how this one's going to run for Congress and that one's going to run for Congress and this one is vulnerable and that one's not vulnerable. And who's the president going to support on this one? And who do you support DML on this one? And we'll start talking more about that and less about stuff getting through. And we will be standing there with our pants around our ankles saying, boy, do I feel naked. Yeah, because you got no legislation to hold over your private parts. And that's why. Yeah. And so this is where it is. DML, you know, maybe I didn't miss the walk and talks because it's all gloom and doom. It's not gloom and doom. DML doesn't do this to you. I don't do this to you. I just report back to you what's happening. I do it in a way, and remember I said this. Remember I said this in this conversation. This would be the one you probably want to rewind a couple times. Good, bad, or ugly, I will never mislead you. And I will never mislead you by not saying something. Remember, it's not always about saying something. It's about what you don't say. Remember I said that. So anyway, you'll never hear me, or I should say, you'll always hear me tell you what's in the noggin. You'll always hear me say, this is what I think, and here's what I know. Because I know, hold on, DML, get it together. I know of no other way. I know of no other way. Say that 10 times. Up. It wouldn't be a walk and talk without our new friend, the Obama tree. There he is. And now you thought Obama was going to go away. Now he's got trees all over the place here. For those of you who are new to the show, at least today anyway, that's an Obama tree. Obama takes the leaves from that tree and then gives it to another tree who he thinks needs the tree. Yes. But, don't think that it's Obama trying to be good to the trees that don't have leaves. No. And here's why. As we walk 72 feet, you will see what nobody else can see. Because unlike the Obama tree, oh, I can't do that. Sorry. Bear with me. One more time. Unlike the Obama tree, which is out in broad daylight, you could plainly see it. In fact, if you wanted to go touch the Obama tree, you can touch it. In fact, if you wanted to buy it, you can call Rose. But if you walk 72 feet, what is supposed to be hidden in the hedges so nobody can see is Michelle Obama's tree. Oh, yes. Yes. See, what they do is they disguise you. They give you this whole, look at Obama's tree. What he did, he pulled the leaves off for everybody and gave it to the other trees. No. Then you come over here and you see that they stripped the leaves off another tree. But this time, they're actually building the house. Can you see that? Yeah, can you see that? I don't know if you can. There you go. Michelle's tree, no leaves, but with a new house going up on it. Built by illegal aliens. DML, I can't get this stuff on Hannity. I know. You won't be able to get this stuff anywhere else. No, you won't. DML, you're so full of yourself. If you don't like it, leave. Like a tree. Yeah. Anyhow, all right, so the healthcare bill. DML, wrap it up, baby. All right, I'll wrap it up for you right now in a bow. Healthcare bill is going to get kicked over past the 4th of July. Then you're going to get busy. Oh, yeah, fireworks are going to go off. You're going to be like, I love 4th of July. And then it's going to get hot. You're going to want to go to the beach. Or your air conditioners are going to break, and you're going to be focused on getting a new air conditioner. You're going to be like, damn, it's so hot in here. Yeah, and then you're not going to really worry about the healthcare bill anymore. Oh, no. And then the summer's going to go, and then August is going to come, and then all the Congress people are going to go home for the month. And then it's September, and you're going to look up and say, whatever happened with that healthcare bill? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Mark it down now. For those of you who have been... Hold on, let me hit the button. Boop. For those of you who have been with me for a while, you know that I'm often right on these things. Sorry. Sorry for delivering you what you don't want to hear. I wish I could tell you something nice. I mean, I could tell you this. Not everything where I live is beautiful. See those branches? Somebody just left them there. Why didn't they pick them up? I don't know, DML. DML, you talking to yourself again? Yes? DML, do you have mental health coverage? I don't know. Anyway, so, speaking of health, DML News Alert. About to come to you. DML News Alert. Huh. Let me tell you a story. Actually, a few stories. For those of you who strictly come in for the news, for gloom and doom, you may want to leave now. Now it's story time. Oh, when was it, Mary? Oh, my mother's watching. She would know the date. She'd be like, it was this day. Oh, by the way, before I get into this whole health story / other story, I have to fix a false news report that I put out. Damn, Al, I never thought I'd hear you say it. Yeah, I put out some fake news. I didn't know it was fake, but it turned out to be fake. And the person who told me was my mother. I apologize in advance for making this misleading comment. So the other day, I took my 2 kids over to see my great-grandmother and, well, their great-grandmother, which was my grandmother, and my mother, who was their grandmother. A lot of mothers. And my mother said, your father told a full story. And I was like, it was like a Hitchcock film. What is she talking about? Bad for the brand. She says, your father never had bells on his sneakers. I was like, what are you talking about? I did too. And she said, no. Your father, meaning me, also known as DML / Dennis / my grandmother calls me Denny, was a very good boy. I knew something was good out of this story. I was a good boy. I was a good boy, yeah. Had my hair parted like this, smiled to the camera. He was a good boy. It was his brother who had the bells. He was the one we thought we were going to lose. So the fake news was I really never wore bells on my sneakers. My brother did. But the noise was so loud that I thought it was my shoes. Yeah, but I'll tell you what. I know this isn't fake news, Mama. When we used to go to the beach, my mother used to dress us both in like matching bathing suits, little Speedos that were colored like in stupid colors. Simply so this way she could pick us out of the crowd at Jones Beach so nobody would steal us. Huh! Mom, why would anybody want to steal a kid with bells on his sneakers? Note to Ma. Anyway, she's a good Ma, trying to make sure we didn't get stolen. Nobody stole us. We're one piece. At least I think. Sometimes I don't even know if I'm myself anymore. But anyhow, so that was the fake story revelation. But anyway, so going back to the story, I started this computer company. And, you know, prior to that, I was a pretty sleek guy. Probably 30 waist, rippled, cut. Right, Mom? Just at my mother's house the other day. Just got all my young pictures all over the place. One sitting there with just my jeans, no shirt on. My daughter's like, Daddy. I was like, I know, look at my hair though. It's like pumped like this. Big, huge 80s do. But I said goodbye to that waist. And I wound up just eating tons of crap and working myself to the bone, building a business that ultimately had hundreds of people. And so one day, I was sitting there and I was like, wow, man, I just don't feel right. And so I felt like actually I was going to die. So this is no joke. So I drove up 135. For those of you who don't live on Long Island, that is the Seafood Oyster Bay Expressway. And there was a hospital. I don't know what it was called. I think it might have been called Mid-Island. It's not there anymore. And when I got to Mid-Island, I literally went to the McDonald's before I went into the hospital. How crazy is that? And I wound up having like 3 cheeseburgers and fries because something told me I was going to be in this hospital for a while. So I go into the hospital and I'm like, and I'm only in my 20s at the time. And I'm like, yeah, I'm having chest pain. It was like, Code Red, see, Code Red now. I was like, what the hell's going on? They're taking out razors. Boom, 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 boom. Well, before you know it, I'm like on a gurney. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, what are you doing? And they're like, chest pains. I'm like, wait a second. So, oh, yeah, Joe. Doot, doot. Doot, doot. I shit up my nose. Like, I couldn't stop. I had McDonald's. I got to go to the bathroom. Nope. Anyway, checking all this different stuff. Okay. Fast forward, I obviously survived that whole thing. Now we got this big company, you know, and I'm even worse than I was. Now I'm having McDonald's, and then I'm going across the street and having a little Burger King. I mean, I just couldn't get enough. So, we're about to buy this company. I'm in Connecticut at the time, Connecticut. And I'm walking through the warehouse, looking at this company that we're possibly going to buy. And as I'm sitting there, I'm just like, I go down. Before you know it, Code Red. Yep. So now I wound up in a hospital. I'm like, oh, okay. You know, doctor comes in, says to me, if you don't stop what you're doing, you're gonna end up killing yourself, kid. Now, at the time, I used to work, I don't know, 6 days a week, probably 12 hours a day. And so I was like, so inconvenient. So anyway, a couple of weeks went by, and we decided we were going to take a vacation. So we drove down to the Carolinas. When we got down to the Carolinas, same thing. And my mother came with us, by the way. My mother was there. She would be able to attest to every moment of this. And so anyway, we're laying there in this house I rented. I'm like, man, I got such the chills. I just don't feel good. So there was no hospital. We were at the Outer Banks. Back then, there was no hospital there. So we went to a clinic. And we go in there. Woman takes x-rays. And she's like, you have double pneumonia. And your lungs are basically going to collapse. we need to get you to a hospital now. I'm like, Jesus, what the hell's going on with these hospitals? Boom, ambulance, choom, hour and a half away. So now I'm in this place, and they have me in there for a week. And my temperature's running as high as 106, believe it or not. I'm thinking, I'm dead. They're thinking, he's dead. One woman came in, she wound up, as far as I'm concerned, saving my life, figuring out that they should put me on this, I don't know, cooling blanket of some kind. So anyway, after a week of being in there, I left that place and pretty much felt like an old man for weeks, if not months. And I wound up leaving. I wound up leaving that company. And it was a very disappointing thing for me. Very disappointing thing for me, because I had worked so hard, my mother had worked so hard. So many people had worked so hard, you know, so it was very disappointing. But at the end of the day, I decided that my little kids and my wife and my life was just too important. And so anyhow, wound up getting myself all fixied up again. And then I wound up pretty much starting and doing these movies. And I mean, I was in lean, mean shape. Climbing fences down the southern border, you know, running like Superman, diving into the water, grabbing the American flag, all different things you could possibly imagine. Yep. And then all of a sudden I came up with this crazy idea of listening to the people who were telling me, you should run for president. Okay. So then I basically go and say, I'm going to run for president. So, you know, Megan puts me on TV, and 88% of the people who vote say, yeah, I'd vote for this guy. And I got all these people coming out, and all this other different stuff. And slowly but surely, all those healthy little Denny's that are running inside of me started to become the sick little Denny's inside of me. And before you know it, there I was back to the place where I had been 2 times before. This time with the cardiologist sitting with me at a studio, little studio. I guess you call it a movie studio. It could be a movie studio, it could be a news studio. Oh, it's a studio with like 17 different sets. And we're about to do a documentary, and he says to me, you are a ticking time bomb. Ah, really, man? We gotta go through this crap again? And he says, yes. Here's what you need to do. 90 days. No internet. No this. No that. I mean, I lived in the land of no. He's like, if you don't, you're going to wind up having a heart attack, you're going to die. And he wasn't kidding. And he's like, just look at yourself. And I did. We were standing there. We were in the green room outside the studio. And I looked at myself. And I'm like, wow, I don't even look like me anymore. I can't even talk straight. I can't think. I can't sleep. I can't do any of this stuff. My kids are too young. I'm too young. What the hell am I doing here? You know? Not to mention the fact I'm too freaking honest. So oh my God, it's like 5 million degrees in here. You know you're sweating, I know. So anyway, little AC while we're sitting here. I'm actually gonna go to the charger. I don't know if this charger thing works. If I lose you, adios. Let's see. This accessory may not work. And then again, it may be. All right, but it's charging, wonderful. T-Mel, this is a long story. Well, I'm telling you my life. So anyway, so I took those 90 days. I actually lost my Twitter account. Any of you have ever wondered why my Twitter numbers are much lower than my Facebook numbers? It's because I lost a little bee in here. What the hell is this thing? Hold on one second. Get out. All right. I wound up. It says I lose my battery. How do I lose my battery? I'm charged in. Am I not charging? I think I'm charging. I may lose you. It says my losing battery, but I plugged in. Anyway. No. It's not charging. Hold on. Let me see. I go this way? I don't know. I'm all confused here. It's playing the music on my iPod. Sledgehammer by, what the hell's his name? I don't know. Album's name, So. Anyway, so Peter Gabriel, yeah. So, I took the time, the 90 days. I lost my Twitter account because unlike Facebook where you could turn yourself off for 90 days and come back, in Twitter, if you turn off, they take away your account. So I lost all the people. But I came back leaner, meaner than I had ever been in my life. In fact, the most healthiest I've ever been in my life. Okay. So then, after that, fast forward a year later, between having a television show where I used to have to travel into New York City for a total of 5 hours a day, 2.5 there, 2.5 back, sometimes 3 there, sometimes 3 back. and that was 5 days a week, 4 days a week sometimes, because they would let me do double sessions on Thursday. But anyway, so I was doing that for a while, and slowly but surely, you know, the DennisMichaelLynch.com website started to become really popular. So now I'm doing two things. I'm doing a website with only myself and one helper named Anita, and my wife, of course. And slowly but surely, then my son, then my daughter, and then a couple other people we start pulling on. Before you know it, I've got this fledgling website, and I've got a TV show, and then I finally give up on the television show because of talk about fake news. Couldn't agree with the network anymore. Let's just say it that way. So long story short, I start this thing, and we just figured this out the other day. I have been basically working 7 days a week from pretty much 6 a.m. to 12 midnight for more than a year. Yeah. With the exception of taking 2 vacations along that time, of which I worked on those vacations, by the way, you know, at least in the mornings anyhow. In fact, we went away, I can't remember what island we went down to, but I was on the phone for hours with the guy who runs part of our website. And he's like, I thought you were on vacation. I'm like, yeah. He's like, why don't you just go with the phone? I'm like, So anyway, 7 days a week. And now if you think I'm exaggerating on the 6 a.m. to 12 p.m., you are not anywhere near knowing anything about what I do, how we do it, how much work it takes, and you don't really know a lot about me because I wouldn't exaggerate something like that. That is what it is. And it gets to the point of where I don't even get to see my kids' games. My son came in the other day and said to me on a Sunday, beautiful day, Dad, let's go out on the boat. And I actually yelled at him to leave me alone. I was busy on the website. Yeah. And then 20 minutes later, I thought about it. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Father's Day. Yeah, Father's Day. I was working. Every single day you could possibly imagine. Christmas, I was working. And so it's a non-stop thing because I've got the app and I've got the shows and I've got the website and the Facebook and the Twitter and you try to make everybody happy. We like the videos. We don't like the videos. We love the videos. We don't like the videos. Trump is great. Trump sucks. I love tweets. I hate tweets. DML, what's the healthcare? Hey, DML, what's not that? And I just never know how to say no. Just don't. And not complaining about it. That's just who I am. And so that's pretty much it. And unfortunately, in some areas, and I mean no disrespect, especially to my own kids, but I've surrounded myself with the youngsters who have very limited experience. And banking, sometimes I forget how young these people are, you know? And that's not necessarily a slam. Sometimes young people, and I used to be there, right, Mom? Young people think that they can take on the world and accomplish anything. And there's a great thing about that. There is a level of, it's like dreams meet determination meet Superman. And you don't ever discourage people like that. You never say to somebody you can't. You always say to somebody you can. At the same time as sometimes that becomes a little bit problematic because you realize when you get older that things don't always pan out exactly the way that you dreamed and envisioned them. So you take paths that are slower, or you get off paths because you realize that it's nothing other than just a dead end, or you realize that you're just going to wind up being unhealthy for it, whatever it may be. So that is the situation that I have found myself in. And along that way, of all those 4 stories I had told you before about the times of when, you know, it just hit into a brick wall, there has been no time bigger than this one. No big, and I'll give you an example. If I try to get out of a chair, I literally look like I'm 80 years old. Yeah. There are times when we're at work that I get out of the chair, and because my kids are now in the room, and they aren't kids, they're adults, they're grown adults. You know, they're old enough to go to war. They're old enough to drink in bars. I mean, my kids are not kids, they're young adults. My young adult children, I try to hide from them that I can't get up or that something hurts because I don't want them to be concerned. At the same time is probably the greatest thing that has happened to me in the last month and a half is the fact that my children have come to work with me, because their mother has been telling me now for quite some time, you're just going to burn yourself out. You're just going to burn yourself out. You're going to get yourself sick. We've been here before. You're not listening to your body. Look at you. Now, I've gone to the point of, this is how sad it is. And this is where you know you could always trust your buddy DML, because I tell you shit that other... Oh, damn it. Sorry. I tell you stuff that nobody else would ever be brave enough. When you watch the walk and talk when I do it in the kitchen, even if I have a sports jacket on, what you don't see is that I'm wearing a pair of sweatpants underneath. Yeah, I got a pair of sweatpants. Or I'll have a pair of shorts on. So I'll have a shirt, even if I don't have the sports jacket on, if I have a nice shirt on, I have either sweatpants on or I have on humongous stretchy shorts, because I have become so enormous. I stepped on the scale. I'm 200, and I may not look it to you, I'm 243 pounds. I should be 193. That's how bad I am. I am now wearing clothes. I used to have a camera guy who used to work for me. His name was Rory. Rory's a big guy. Rory left a pair of shorts at my house one time. I have been wearing Rory's shorts. It's the one pair of shorts I wear. I have been wearing Rory's shorts because nothing of mine will fit, and now I've come to a point of where Rory's shorts don't fit. Yeah. So in addition to every single last body part, there are a few other things that are going on, which I am going to completely keep to myself, because as much as I love being honest with you, there are certain things that I just keep to myself. But there are some other things going on. And at the same time that these things are going on, that I have been trying to hide them from my family, unbeknownst to me, and if you're watching, son, my son and daughter, who have been in the office with me now for a month, took a walk the other day and said, we have to have an intervention with Dad. And because my oldest son is very concerned that I'm going to fall flat on my face and that I'm not going to be able to, there's a cop coming. Who's the crazy guy in the car talking to himself? Maybe he's watching the walk and talk. Let's see. Hello, Mr. Policeman. Yep. So anyway, very, very concerned. Well, it turns out to be that as he is having that, I'm having a conversation with my wife and telling her, I think I've finally come to the point of where I agree with you, and here's what's happening to me. And my wife's like, okay, enough's enough. And so basically my family has put the proverbial gun to my head and just said, enough. So I said, well, enough isn't going to work, because I'm never going to give up what I do. I love what I do. Too many people rely on what I do, and we've built an incredible thing here. And they said, we're not asking you to give up anything. We're asking you to please not give up your life. So I said, okay, fine. And so what we're going to do here is we're just going to slow things down a little. I still have fantastic writers, independent writers from across the country who write for us all the time. My son is an absolute champion. My daughter is an absolute champion. They have really woke me up to a lot of things, and I mean a lot of things, more than just my health. You know, sometimes when you're operating and you're so engulfed, you don't see things around you, and you don't hear things clearly, and you overlook things. So this is why, you know, sometimes with President Trump, you know, that's why you always heard me say it was very important to have Ivanka and Jared in the White House. Even though I don't agree with their politics, it's very good to have your loved ones around you, because when they're not around you, sometimes you could get lost in all the stuff that's going on. But your family will never allow you, good family will never allow you to fall on your back. They'll always have you. They look at things, they hear things differently, they smell things differently. Even my mother, I've been with my mother, you know, going over to my mother's house the last couple of weeks because she lives close to where our estate is. And she's said a couple things to me that have really jumped out that I wasn't noticing myself. Just about everything. And I said, okay, fine. So I started starting to look at this stuff a little bit differently. And so what we're going to do over here is we're just going to slow things down a bit. I don't ever miss deadlines, so I'm pretty much on deadline for everything. But I want to have all these shows and all this stuff up. No. My daughter said it best. She said, Dad, and my daughter sees it because my daughter reads the comments as they're coming in. And she says, Dad, all this stuff that you're doing, all this stuff that you're building, you know, the app is great, the websites are great, and the news is great. You guys get it out so fast. You know, and I've had a couple of people be really rude to us over the last couple of days here. And they have said, can you even see me? I can't, I'm trying to find a good shady spot, and I can't find a good shady spot. You know what? Hold on for a second. Let me see if I can move across the street here. DML, you're driving on the side. I know. But I'm looking around trying to find you a good shady spot. So this way you can see. Let's see. This may be it. At least I could see now. There we go. Yeah. So, my apologies for driving while I was taking. Oh my God, night and day. So anyway, we're just going to slow things down because my daughter said to me, she said, Dad, at the end of the day, you can build all the other little tiny nuggets you want around. But the people are coming in, they're coming in to hear you, and they'd rather see you take your cell phone and walk around and just be at your best when your thinking is the clearest, when you're walking, which you're keeping yourself. Remember I said in the very beginning of the walk and talk, I would never stop doing the walk and talk. I will never stop doing the walk and talk. I stopped doing the walk and talk. I totally stopped. I don't walk and talk anymore. I just don't do it. I'm part of just letting myself go in the same vicious pattern I have done over all these different decades. It is my biggest shortcoming, is that I just basically let myself go because I'm trying so hard to accomplish things that can be accomplished, but only if you're healthy and only if you're in one piece. And I keep on putting myself into these situations where I can't accomplish the goal because I let myself go. And maybe that's why they say youth is wasted on the young, because it's taken me to 48 years old to realize the fact this is the case. So DML and DML, thanks to a lot of you out there and my good friend Anita, I've been trying to get a URL called dmlnews.com instead of DML Daily. I just wanted it to be DML News, like Fox News and ABC News and everything else, and I couldn't get it. And I don't know how it is, but it popped up and it was available. And Anita said, you should go buy it. And I said, okay. And other people told me I should go buy it. So we bought it. So ultimately, when we launch our new site, which my daughter is now in charge of, I put her in charge of today. That's the other thing. I took a list of all the things that I've been trying to accomplish and I can't get to because I'm either keeping it myself or I'm distracted with other stuff that I really either don't want to do or shouldn't be doing. And she said, we make a list, give it to us. So I gave it to my daughter. My daughter's like, I'll take care of it. So my daughter is working now with Mark in Iowa to make sure the new DMLnews.com gets up, and it has all these new excellent features and stuff. So I'm like, maybe because I'm handing some of the stuff off, it will actually go. And so now, because my family is so engrossed and so with me, and this is the same thing, it's amazing. My story sounds a lot like Trump's in the sense that he'll tell you, he's got his family wrapped around him because his family will never do him wrong. And his family will never hold back and not say something for the risk of what it's going to do. They're always going to tell Dad straight up. They're always, they work so hard, and these kids, maybe one day they run with it, but we're not going anywhere. I'm getting all the emails from you guys. I'm not going anywhere. We're just slowing down, and DML is going back to the walk and talks every single day, walking and talking. Hell or high water. And when our next show comes up, it will be when it's right, not when somebody's asking me to do it or putting pressure on that it should have been by now, or because somebody on the other side of a news feed is saying hey, I want this show, I don't like this, I don't like that. It's not going to be based on that anymore. It's just going to be based on what feels right versus what feels wrong. Not about how fast something comes or fast something doesn't come. That's it. So everything is in place, and to the certain degree, better than ever. Our traffic this month is going to break a record. It is going to break an internal record. And I have to give my writers so much credit, but ultimately I have to come back and give the credit to my son. My son is working like a machine, and I don't allow him to work the hours that I work. And maybe that's why it's working so well, is because he gets time to just check out and do well, versus me, who just always stays checked in. You know, even just trying to get through all the emails of everybody and return all the emails and whatever, feel like I'm obligated to do something like that. You know, just step back from certain things. That's what we're going to start doing. But, you know, my son is just cranking it out. What a wonderful human being. And my daughter, that's the other one, just sitting there, and, you know, we were sitting there looking at the different stuff, and she's like, Dad, so much of this stuff is easier than it's been made out to be. We could nail this out. I said, okay, fine. So, anyway, for the next, let me wrap this up because I'm starting to ramble. I was supposed to have a doctor's appointment today at 4 o'clock. Figure, they set it for the time of walk and talk. But it wound up getting canceled last second. It is scheduled now tomorrow for 3 o'clock. But I got to be there at 2:30 because they tell me I got 10 pages I got to fill. 10 pages? What the hell do you need to know for 10 pages? In my name, my sex, if you can't tell, and my age. Let's go. So I've got 10 pages to fill out, and then I got my appointment. So I am not going to be able to do a walk and talk tomorrow. Unless, of course, it gets canceled again, and they push it off to the next day. But they cancel it. If it gets canceled again, I'm going to barge in. But it'll be tomorrow. I will be back, God willing, any day. God won't be willing, but God willing, I will be back on Thursday doing the walk and talk at 4 o'clock. What we're going to try to do, and I'm not committing to anything, as my wife and my kids tell me, you got to stop committing to these things for everybody. What we're going to try to do is make a video earlier in the afternoon, sort of like Dick Morris does, where it's going to be highly produced, and I cover things like in 3 minutes or less about what you need to know about the health care bill. Just give you a little something, so this way you know you got it, and you know you don't got to wait till 4 o'clock. And 4 o'clock, we're going back to our old format where I walk around, we pick out a story, we pick out a news item, we pick out an opinion piece, we pick out a wow. Like today, the wow story, real quick, some psycho takes his kid to Disney. I don't know if you saw this on our website. Takes a kid to Disney and kills his own son to get back at his wife. What the hell is wrong with people? So, you know, we're going to go back to the old ways of walk and talk, and they're going to be at 4 o'clock. And the reason why they're going to be at 4 o'clock and not 11:30 is because 4 o'clock, my kids want me out of that freaking office. And our office right now is going to be out of our home office for the next 2 weeks, because the 4-hour drive every single day back and forth to the estate is also killing me. And so these are all the demands that are put on me by the ones who love me, the ones who really, really love me. And for all of those of you who have sent me the nicest, kindest messages in the world, I can't say how much I appreciate it, how much I love you back. I'm humbled by it. By my friend Janet, who just, you know, continues to be a great friend I never met. Tried to put $5,000 in our donation account today, and I'm rejecting it and sending it back. If we needed donations, I would ask for it. We have all the equipment we need. I need nothing else. All I need now is some health and some sanity in terms of how it is that we operate this thing. Because even President Trump gets away to Mar-a-Lago. Even President Trump has people doing other stuff for him. You know, and so this guy doesn't. At 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. and even when I lay down at 12 o'clock, the trains are running through my head. It's just exhausting. I don't even know myself in the mirror anymore. My mother saw me the other day, and she's like, you gotta stop. And I saw the picture that we posted online with myself and my grandmother. I don't even look like me. I don't even look like me. And the fact that I can't walk, let alone run, I can't do anything. My little girl said, Dad, you want to go outside and play wiffle ball? I can't even do it. I can't even do it. And I hate to admit it because I like to think I'm Superman, but I'm not. Nobody is. And so that's that. So there I go. I told you all that other stuff. Now, some of you have asked some other questions, and I will just give you a little tiny blurb on it. Some of you have asked me about Scarlett. Scarlett decided, and I think rightfully so, that she really wasn't keen about the news business anymore. She wanted to be an exercise instructor. Scarlett may be the single most healthiest person I've ever seen in my life. And she's young, and I think it was the smartest move in the world, because the news business, especially the way that she was having to do the news business, is a toilet bowl, just like DC is. And so for Scarlett to live a healthy life and to get other people healthy and to get just to stay into exercise, I think is the greatest thing in the world. And I told her same thing. Making videos, I told this to her a long time ago, and she would tell you this. I said, making videos out of your Texas apartment is going to get very old, Scarlett. Just want to let you know that. And she's like, no, I know, I can do it. Okay. You know, and that's why when she wanted to come to New York, I wouldn't let her come, because I ultimately knew that her heart would not want to be in it. You know, and it's better off. Get somebody as bright and lovely and God-fearing, and she's got a new family. You know, she's going to be getting married in September. Let her go and have a life of exercise. She'll be a lot happier and live a lot longer. And then Harlan has joined the advisory. I don't want to say it wrong. If I say it wrong, I'll be fake newsed. I think an advisory panel or board of some kind. I think it's an advisory board for President Trump's re-election, which sounds a little early to me. Let's get a health bill first. But he has joined a board of that nature. I don't know who else he's doing it with. I haven't spoke to him about that, but he will no longer be part of the DML every day, which is, you know, he was a contractor. And so that is fine, because you don't get many opportunities in the world like that of being an advisor to a re-election campaign. I mean, that is fantastic. I'm sure his parents are very, very proud of him. So he is going to do that. What that entails, I have no idea. I've been really more focused on me right now, to be quite honest, and some of the stuff I got going on, which is, you know, not the best in the world. And I mean, I don't mean with business. I mean with business has never been better. I mean with myself, healthy wise. So I haven't been able to really get the lowdown on that. And I was supposed to see him today, but they canceled that doctor appointment on me. But aside from that, you know, he is a 26-year-old young man who is smart and will, I would imagine, be able to offer some heady information. I hope that he feels as if he's learned a great deal in the past 6 months. Whether Trump gets elected because of him or not, who knows? But either way, if he does, Harlan, take credit. If he doesn't, blame somebody else. Anyway, so that's that. So anyway, I think it's sort of better off, because the walk and talks were really always my gig, and I gotta just get back to them, and then slowly but surely find the next guy or the next gal who can really do a walk and talk of something, or something that is highly unique. My wife showed me something the other day, and I'm gonna hang up after this. My wife showed me something the other day. I have such a great wife, great children. I seriously am the luckiest man in the world. They watch out for me. I can't tell you how much they watch out for me, especially those two kids. Those kids, we sat at the estate one night at the pool. Something wound up happening. And it happened during the day. What happened wasn't important. But something happened, and the kids took me outside to the pool. And I never got better wisdom from a 22 and a 20-year-old than I did from that right there. And they just sort of laid it out. And I'm like, wow, did we do some good job on raising these kids? Because you always think that you're older and you can tell down on something. And they turn around and they spit something out to me. And I said, wow, how did I miss that?
And I said, yeah, all right. And it's just so amazing. It's so amazing. But my wife was showing me something the other day, and she showed me this guy who goes around and does almost like a walk and talk, only he doesn't do it every day. He does it every couple of days. And he gets like 19 million views. And I'm like, 19 million views? I watch this guy, and he's funny, and he's informative, and he takes people to new places, and it's always something new. And my wife said to me, that's the way you were when you first did your walk and talks. That's the way you were. And my daughter, and they all like, it's not like it anymore, Dad. It's not like it anymore. And then my wife said something that was really has stuck with me. There's two statements. Three, I'll just go two. Two statements that have been said to me over the past, let's say, week that have really, really sunk in. Number one, I don't remember who it was, what network, but they said, we have so many people who are sitting behind microphones and reporting the news, but we have so few people who are really just delivering the news in ways that people want it to be delivered. And I was like, yeah, that's sort of what we started doing. I think that's what people liked. And then the second thing somebody said to me was, well, I didn't tell a lie, but I just didn't really say how I felt. And I said, all right. And then I wondered, how do you do that? I know I can't do that. I don't have that ability. I don't have that ability to hold something back that I feel like needs to be conveyed, you know? And then I said to myself, I wonder if that's what's being done to me, you know? Am I not being given the full story? Am I only being told what I want to hear for the sake of whatever? And so those two things have just been pounding through my head. And so tomorrow, after my doctor's appointment, you know, and I'll probably have I know I'm going to have a follow-up. I have to have a procedure. When that's all done, you know, I will really be a smarter person than I already am. You know, that's the great thing about life is you continue to grow. You know, you continue to grow, you continue to learn. Nobody knows everything. That's the beautiful, beautiful thing. And I'll close on this. I used to say this all the time on the walk and talk. I don't think I've been saying it. I just forget to say it. And because on walk and talk, I always get my brains always going. Let me end on this. This is really for the people who send me nasty stuff. One woman just sent me an email before I went out and did this walk and talk. And she said, I don't know how you do it. She wrote that. I don't know how it is that you take all of these negative, ugly things that people either send you an email or put on the comments. I don't read the comments on the Facebook anymore. I just didn't run out. I ran out of time. Or, you know, in these private chat rooms and whatever it may be. It's the negative things, the hateful things that people say. She's like, I don't know how you do it. I would erupt. Periodically, I'll ban a few people if they're very disrespectful. And that's not the first person. I remember this other person. I don't even know if she watches anymore. This woman named Sarge. She was a retired U.S. Army. And she was around when I was thinking about running for office. And she said, she actually gave a speech on me. And she said, I don't know how you do it. I do. And this is why I always try to say is what I'm talking about with Trump, about, you know, don't let the narrative control the narrative. I'm not going to let somebody else control the narrative. You know, you don't do that. You don't let these people, these haters and naysayers get into your life. And I'm no matter what it is, it could be news or whatever. You take those things and you let the grain of salt in this ear and out that ear. You know? And that's it. You just don't let it bother you. You don't let it bother you. What?
You're lost.
No, I'm not lost. Thank you. I appreciate it.
This is a private road.
I know I live here.
Okay, good.
All right?
Yeah, good. Just trying to keep things secure.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Which house are you?
Why don't you keep moving? Good idea. See what I'm saying? Now, I said that politely. Why don't you just keep moving? Right? Yeah, I said it politely. Anyway, There's always somebody in the bunch. Always somebody in the bunch. You know, it's just trying to keep it secure. Yeah, because there's so much going on right now. Crazy. Yeah, I told you. I said to you, what did I tell you? I said, this summer will be nuts. You see the nuts coming out. These are Alec Baldwin's, man. These are Alec Baldwin's buddies. Just trying to keep things secure. How can I help you? Yeah, until I turn around and said to him, why don't you keep moving? Okay. Yeah, because that's what it is. See, that's what I'm talking to you about. These people, they try to ramrod you. They try to roll over you. They try to say stuff to intimidate you, scare you. You ain't gonna get this goddamn DML. And your little tiny notes to me about whatever. Oh, you're a fraud. You're this, you're that. Later. Get out of my life. Yeah. Oh, this weekend. Part of the, you know, my son turns around to me and says, Dad, can we go on the boat? I was telling you this before. Yeah. Dad, can we go on the boat? I'm like, no, doing the website. I can't do the boat now. Go with your mother, take them out. You take the boat out. I'm thinking to myself, oh, why did I just answer her like that? It's a nice day. Freaking Sunday. You know what? The hell with the site. I just leave the site. No? So we left the site. Then I said, oh, Dad, I'll load up the site. I'll load it up with some old videos that the people didn't watch days ago. We'll just put it up there. Let's just go out. I said, okay, fine, we'll go out. So we go out, we call up, say, yeah, could put the boat in the water? I haven't used the boat all year long. It's sitting up there. We get to the boat. The boat's a mess. They haven't cleaned it, and I paid for this stuff. They haven't cleaned it. The seat's off. I mean, we have a guest with them. My daughter's boyfriend's there, and we're all embarrassed. And I'm like, what's going on here with the boat? No, I'm not being cool about it. What's going on with the boat? And the guy's like, oh, let me fix this, let me fix this. Another guy comes over and says, oh, by the way, stuff is leaking out of the engine. Just want to let you know that. I said, leaking out of the engine? Why are you letting me go? Oh, no, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. Really? It's not a bad thing? Don't worry about it. So we go and we turn on the boat. Beep, the alarms start going crazy. Crazy. Guy comes over. Doesn't have a staff shirt or anything like that. Comes over and says, I know what the problem is. You want me to fix it? I said, who are you? So he says, I said, you work here? So he says, yeah, I work here. Like with an attitude. He says, you want me to fix it or you want me to walk away? You're going to walk away from me? I got out of the boat. And then all of a sudden, calm set in. Can't let these people get you uptight. You got to control the narrative. Steady hand at all given times. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm saying. All right, that being said, I think I said enough. I was rambling on for a while. I haven't done a walk and talk in a while. I do that sometimes when I haven't done a walk and talk in a while. I ramble sometimes. And sometimes I sing. And then sometimes people knock on my door. You need help? No, but you will. All right, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.
They won't even put strong pro-Trump people on panels. They've always got, and no disrespect for the people who are on those CNN panels, but they don't really usually hold their own. But they'll put a very weak Trump supporter in a panel of 7 liberals. So trust me when I tell you, it's about selling the ideology. So this whole undercover video, which basically reveals, as far as I'm concerned, what we already knew. You know, this whole thing about CNN and their fake news, if you will. To me, that's nothing new. We sort of knew this. Didn't we already know this? The big thing about it, which I think is interesting, and for those of you who have been with me for a very long time, you may remember me walking down this very block. I think it was either in November or early December. But I was November. That's when the election was. I was punching home to you. Here's something that you need to know about. The Russia narrative is going to be with us forever. Nobody's talking about it right now, but trust me when I tell you, it is going to be what dictates everything, because that is what they're going to try to stain Trump with. It's BS. It will turn out to be BS, but trust me when I tell you, this thing is going to hover around. Where I'm wrong in all this, how many times you ever hear me say that? Where I'm wrong in all this was I thought it would hover around longer. But you know what? Here's the thing. When you chase a lie, you can only go so far with that lie, especially when you try to hit the gas pedal as hard as these people have been trying to hit the gas pedal on this Russia thing. And slowly but surely, what you're seeing is that it is just basically falling apart. And so for the president, I guess you couldn't ask for a better post. And they'd say, we want you to have a show. They would. they'd say, yep, we don't care what it would be, we're going to throw it out at you. How much does Hannity make? How much does O'Reilly make? We'll give you more plus. Why would they do that? Because the conservative message goes out to more solid thinking people. And so those people tune in. It's why there's no such thing as liberal radio. It's why Fox News, at the end of the day, even if they don't have the #1 show temporarily so, you know, they are always #1 in ratings. And that's because, like it or not, that's where the intelligent people go. So, to that extent, CNN really isn't about ratings. They're about their ideology at the same time as selling their ideology and coupling that with better ratings. For them is having your cake and eating it too. So understand that if they really wanted to go for the ratings, if they really wanted to be #1, they would change what it is that they're selling. Prime example, MSNBC just hired for Saturday mornings Hugh Hewitt, who is a conservative radio host. They are now giving him a show on Saturday mornings. Another person that they hired was Greta Van Susteren. Now, although she's not by any chance or any stretch a conservative, especially not one like Sean Hannity, she still comes from the Fox environment. They are also thinking 100%, we got to start changing a little bit about how we sell this stuff here. There's a lot of money in conservatism. At CNN, they're so liberal, they won't even think that way. They won't even think that way. I can't remember who it was. What do you think is more important, ratings or ideology? And I said ideology. And they said, really? I think it's ratings. I said, no. If it were ratings, they would not do what they do in terms of what they sell. Now, keep in mind something. I'm going to get back to that in a second. Think about this. There was a video put out today. If you haven't seen it on DennisMichaelLynch.com, you should see it. It's been shared now almost as many times as my grandma video has been shared. I can't believe my grandmother video was shared like 27,000 times. But I think it's been shared like 23,000 times. And in the video, this Project Veritas, I don't know how they got into CNN. They probably gave some false impression of who they were. However they got in, so be it. They'll deal with that one on their own. But they dealt with a CNN producer. And in the video, he basically reveals the fact that, you know, the CEO of CNN, Jeff Zucker, who actually lives out where I am during the summers. And he said, basically, stop covering the climate accord thing, go back to Russia. So they're driving the narrative of Russia, and they say pretty much it's because of ratings. Now, here's why that isn't necessarily true. If CNN really wanted to be in ratings #1, more than they wanted to get past their liberal ideology, well, they would pick up the phone and they would call up Rush Limbaugh, and they would call up Mark Levin, and they would call up Laura Ingraham, and they would call up every single radio conservative host. They'd call up me, Father's Day's gift, because after this whole Russia narrative gets blown up, and after it is now that CNN is going to feel as if it needs to cover its tracks to a certain degree, and they will, you know, somebody on my team today put out an alert about the video and said, CNN is finished. I'm trying to, we'll get to this in a little bit, but I'm trying to delegate some of the other tasks within our organization, so this way I don't have to do everything. I've been told that that's the way it needs to be going forward by the ones who really love me. And so I said, you can't put titles out like CNN is finished. That may be the way you feel, that may be the way you interpret it, but at the end of the day, CNN is not finished. Just put out leaked video, show CNN programming biasly against Trump, or putting out fake news, anything of that. But so I'm trying to train for that. But anyway, if you're the president, I guess what happens is you've got this window. It's a very small window that everything will start to focus simply on what it is that you're able to accomplish from a policy standpoint. They will have to go back and start looking at that because they're going to have to rebuild their credibility. So hopefully the president and his communications team are willing to accept this opportunity and dive deep into it. In fact, if I was Sean Spicer and President Trump, I'd go back to holding press briefings every single day for the next 2 weeks. There was never a better opportunity to get your message out than these 2 weeks. Because trust me when I tell you, the last thing that these liberal outlets are going to do is play any games. But then, like everything else, the American people will forget about what happened here with the CNN stuff. The screen's so dark. Oh no. Alright, my screen's pretty dark, so I'm going to have no idea. I am not going to be able to even see how many people. My battery is pretty low. So, and I don't have a charger. You know, there was one lady back a while ago. That'd be damned if I could remember her name. Note to self, get better with names. Anyway, there was a lady who got me a battery charger because if you remember in the winter, my battery kept on sinking, like going from 100 to 0. And so she bought me a battery charger. And it's in my bag, but I can't find the wire. Who knows? But anyway, I'm only at like 58%, so I charged up a little bit, and gonna go into a couple of topics here with you. Will not be going the usual hour. Probably just not only my battery, but I'm just gonna wind up going around the block and coming back a short route, if you will. So anyway, here's 3 topics we're gonna be talking about: CNN, healthcare, and then a little of yours truly with regard to that. So let's get into the CNN thing first. The thing about CNN, you know, I talk about the cable ratings all the time, and I think it's an important thing to monitor. Sometimes people say to me, well, why do you publish that stuff? It's an important thing because there is a balance between what matters more. Is it the ability to have high ratings, or is it the ability to get an ideology out? In fact, somebody recently asked me,